level gut wrench. And very simply this time, if your opponent got moved forward or you started to do a leg lace and he started to come back up, most of the time it's very difficult to reach up and lock around mid-level. Or as soon as I get the lock, my opponent moves my hands down to the soft part of the body. Rather than stay in the soft part of the body, I'm going to move on down and go to a low-level gut wrench. Very simply, when I get a low-level gut wrench, I want my elbows to control his hips. Remember, my chest stays on his back tight. I keep my elbows elbow deep so that I control his hips, and I'm going to turn his hips with my elbows. And there's two things that are very important here. One, if he does a regular defense where he's pushing back and trying to keep this hip down, then at that time I'm going to keep shoulder pressure. My chest will actually be on his butt here. As I drive him forward, then I'm going to load him up like a regular gut wrench and take him on through. Let's start in the referee's position. Okay? Go. I lock here. Now, from this position right here, I'm going to actually straddle and spread his legs a little bit so that my knees are wide. From that position, now, my elbows are on his hips, both elbows, so he's not real sure which direction I'm going to go. From this position here, my chest, rather than staying on his back now, is going to be on his butt and drive in this position. From this position right here, because he's got a regular defense, he's keeping pressure back into me, I'm going to step up high with my right foot, step up to the outside with my left, and now I'm going to drive my shoulder into his lower back, lift his hips, and take him through. Okay, this time on a low-level gut wrench, rather than drive into my opponent, I'm very simply going to lift his hips up onto my leg, load him up, and then take him through. It's very important when I do this technique that I'm able to, when I put him into my lap, I kick him over the top rather than try and throw him because I don't want him to be able to set up on me and capture my leg. Go. From this position right here, I'm going to keep my chest on his butt as I tripod up and I step. Now I'm just going to lift his hip right here. I have him up on my knee. From this position right here, most of the time they'll try to circle back to your foot. From that position, don't panic, just kick it on over. Take him on through. Another technique that you can use out of a gut wrench is a high-level gut wrench. And very simply this, when he's down in a referee's position and I try a high-level gut wrench, I've got to take one of his arms out and take him in that direction. So that when I lock high, I'm going to have to knock one of these arms out like that and then tip him real quick this way. All right? To do that, when I get a high-level lock, I'm going to be in this position right here, and I'm going to knock his arm out with my forearm. Also, keep in mind when you do this technique that a lot of times in a high-level gut wrench, they'll take you the same direction that their head is on. So that if I get a high-level gut in this position right here, when I start to do my gut wrench, I'm going to knock this arm out, and my head is on the same side. From this position, as I knock that out, I'm just going to set my knee against his hip and pull him into my lap. Another technique that you can do on a high-level gut wrench is use your head in the middle of the back and tripod up. This technique takes a little more of a flexible person to be able to do it. Oftentimes in this position, your opponent will reach back and try to grab one leg or the other, which the direction that he reaches back on, that's the direction that you'll take him. As I work on a